There's a female rugby player who goes by the name Ilona Ma who's been getting a lot of media attention lately. And it's mostly been centered around her key messages of rugby needing to shift its culture and mindset if it wants to evolve as a sport. If you're like me, I knew who she was, but I didn't really know who she was. I wouldn't say these are headlines I'm jumping to click on, so a lot of the news went through to the keeper. Turns out, with 8 million followers across Instagram and TikTok, she is rugby's most followed social media player in the world. Tiny bit of rugby context, she's hopeful of making the US World Cup squad later in the year, which she's pretty much a shoo-in if you've looked at any of her highlights. But it's this statement that's had a pretty mixed reaction from the rugby community, and it's simply, I would love to see more personality from the men's game. While there's lots of people supporting her comments, there's still a decent chunk of people that are confused. What do you mean rugby needs more personalities in the game? What she's saying does have a lot of credibility. Here's an example of the type of content she's posting on her TikTok.
One thing that I like to do from time to time is I just perform for the kids for a whole lesson, just to give them a sort of benchmark of how things are done, so they can see someone at a professional industry level.
Now, I know it might make some people cringe watching that. It's definitely good for the game of rugby, though. Think about how many young girls or, distant rugby fans watch that and then suddenly want to tune into a game to see how she goes. And that's what she's talking about by personalities and getting a following. I think where a lot of the confusion or distaste is coming from is the fact it's a female rugby player. So I think it's pretty important that if we make some male rugby comparisons. The Rieko Ioane and Johnny Sexton is a perfect example of this. Rieko had painted himself out to be one of the biggest villains and took to social media to really reinforce that message. What it did is created so much more interest in that game. There was this whole extra group of fans who tuned into the games because either they admired Johnny Sexton and wanted to watch Rieko get bashed, or they liked Rieko and wanted to see him get stuck into Ireland. It created this hero and villain narrative which just made people tune into the game. I used to watch the Waratahs just to watch Tom Carter get smashed, and any Aussie rugby fan out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. What Rieko did and what Ma's talking about is that people follow the players. People tune into the Lakers to watch LeBron James play, even if they're not fans of the Lakers. When Taniela Tupou first burst onto the rugby scene, people tuned in because he had this hype, he had these highlight packages, and he had a bit of a personality about him. So even though he came to the Queensland Reds, you had people from all over the world watching to see how he went. I do actually have a TikTok account, and some of my most viral clips I've posted is of... I'll show you one example of some of the most viral clips I've posted. Millions of views watching Taniela Tupou cut up a coconut. Now imagine if there were clips of him saying he's going to put the biggest hit on Marcus Smith you've ever seen during this Lions tour. You would have clips circulating, they would be going viral everywhere. And you know what? Everyone would tune in to see if it happens or not. Everyone's on their best behaviour in the media, and that's a big reason why personalities just don't exist in rugby anymore. And I think World Rugby really should encourage their players to start leaning towards the other direction. Imagine a rugby world where the level of hype was the same as a boxing promotion. Whether it's positive or negative attention, it's definitely going to put more eyes on the game. Realistically, every player is marketing for the game. And while it's happening on the field, I think there could be a lot more being done off the field. I don't know how they go about encouraging their players to be themselves a bit more. If you compare rugby to almost any international sport, well, not any significant international sport, they have a way lower social media presence and following. There's no way if Ilona Ma was just a rugby player, she'd have a following as big as it is now. And I bet you more people are tuning in to watch her play now than ever before. I think this is a great opportunity for rugby. Let me know in the comments what you think they could be doing more of or what you would like to see. Cheers.